right here. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary.
Hey everyone, Steph Beckett here for another Rants and Raves takeover. I'm here talking about DSE, the show coming up on November 17th through 19th. I'm here with Brad Sager today. He's a technologist with XTG Group at AVI SPL. How's it going, Brad?
It's going very well. How are you today?
Doing pretty well. So, first of all, tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to be a little on the digital signage end of our industry.
Sure. Started off doing AV almost 20 years ago, in-house AV. That rolled on to some video conferencing and then running some stuff for the University of Kansas School of Pharmacy. Ended up with a company called SKC that was then acquired by AVI-SPL. And then once I got into all of that, I got with the Experiential Technology Group, right? And so here at XTG, we do a lot of those imagining things with clients and executing those experiences in spaces. And I think that's going to try to amaze people or build a memorable moment is what we're trying to do over at XTG.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of fun. So a lot of that has to do with those experiences and that engagement, whether that be on any kind of signage or interactive experience.
That's cool. So your session at DSE is going to be about like what you need to know about dvLEDs. So can you tell me a little bit like what do I need to know about dvLED?
Everything you need to know will be at the session. Just come to the session. We'll figure it all out there. It's super
And I'll
easy.
figure it out.
Exactly. So I think some of those things are, pixel pitch and viewing distances and what's your application and what are we trying to do with that, right? And once you've decided, hey, this is a great application, what I'm trying to do, because content is king, right? What are we going to put on there that's going to really
Yeah.
garner that emotion and get people excited about what's happening? So once we decide, that's the thing to do, then let's talk about how are we going to mount it? What kind of pixel pitch? What kind of installation pieces? Just what all is there, and then we can really,
Yeah.
if that keeps going, we can talk about things like forced perspective and interactivity and all the rest that might be the next move, right? How do we put them on the inside, the outside of windows, whatever.
Yeah. I do tend to forget that dvLED is still somewhat of like a new technology or offering to people who are like not in our industry. So is it kind of like a thing where you run into clients who are ask for that, but like that's not necessarily what they need or they haven't really thought much about the use case?
I think there might be some coaching that happens on some. I
Right.
think a lot of times you have people who aren't fully aware of it and say, "Hey, I've got something like I want a 120, a 200-inch in a boardroom, right? And it can supplant even a display." And they aren't
Yeah.
aware that the pricing has moved down to a point that maybe even starting to achieve some parity there, where we can talk about even just putting them in boardrooms, right? They're becoming that commonplace.
For sure. So, can you give me a couple of pros and cons of speccing a dvLED in different installations?
Sure. I think your pros end up things like brightness, right? You can just so vividly see a lot of that color.
Right.
And then, you can also do any sort of size that you want, and we can really get funky with the content and the shape, and really gives you a lot more flexibility than just a standard 16 by 9 display. On the con side, I mean, you're going to have some spares, right? We've got these small panels made up of LEDs, and they're going to go together to form this wall or this space. So I
For
think
sure.
some of the things there is you're going to have some spares on hand, and they do settle in, right? It's going to take a couple weeks to kind of get things, and maybe you lose an LED and you change one out, and it's just a bit of a learning curve.
So, the goal for these is to really have like detailed kind of content, right? Because you really want to show off like what this can do. So, is there a recommended viewing distance for using a dvLED versus like LCD versus, regular
Absolutely.
LED? Yeah.
Right. I think there's that 468 rule that I think a lot of people know from the old, 16:9. I think every
Oh,
different
yeah. The olden
manufacturer.
times.
You got it. But it's still a valid rule. Don't get me wrong. You spec in displays,
Yeah.
keep that in mind. But I think we've got things, even a sub 1 millimeter pitch where you can get right up on it, arm's length away, some interactivity, right? And then you've got spots where you're outdoors or putting it on a window, or it's on the 15th floor of a building, and you can look up and you say, oh, and when you get up on those, they're 10 millimeters or more apart, right? So
Right.
it's really going to be, where's your person that you are really trying to attract, where are they going to be? And then we definitely have charts from all kinds of manufacturers and standards to help with that.
It's like what is the Avixa standard now? It's like BDM versus like, is it ADM? Like there's like the basic and then the advanced, where like there are slightly different calculations in the basic is like the 468.
Right. And I think, that 468 came out of a 1080 resolution, right? And that's the thing that you always kind of forget is that LED is always a custom resolution. They don't come in, 1920 by 1080. They don't come in this 4K. They come in whatever you build for a pixel. You figure out how much you want, and then we can put it there. And that's a big thing for content as well.
That's true. That's true. Well, okay. Last question I have for you is, how can people connect with you, obviously, other than registering and attending your session, which is November 17th at 9 a.m.?
Sure. My name is Brad Sager, and you can find me on LinkedIn. Also, you can just go to avispl.com/xtg, and you can get hold of any of us over there to talk about those experiences.
Awesome. So once again, obviously register for Brad's session. It's going to be at DSE. You can go to digitalsignageexperience.com, register for the show. And if you use the code RAVEGIFT, you can get onto the show floor for completely free. So definitely attend, check out Brad's session, and we will see you guys in Vegas.
Hope to see you there.
All right. Sounds good.
Rave Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves.